Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory.
And I'm Matt, and each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need a bit more conversation.
It's been a long but very exciting week here at GT Garage Talk.
Indeed.
Two, not one, but two vehicles were reviewed
Yeah.
in the red dirt of East Texas.
Yeah.
I'll call it dirt. It wasn't really sand. It wasn't really mud.
Not quite mud.
Well, we did find some mud.
We found some mud. You found some mud.
You found it and shared it. We'll put it that way. But yeah, it's been quite a week. So without further ado, we have had a press vehicle loaned to us from a manufacturer, and
Oh, no, that was the wrong button.
we have had a press vehicle lent to us by a manufacturer. Yes, thank you. And we have also struck up. We've arranged a partnership with a local dealership for a very coveted, very, very new model of another vehicle that we got a little bit of wheel time in.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. So let's talk first about the one we got the least amount of time in.
Right.
Because I think you and I have some maybe differing of opinions on the one we've lived with more and gotten to spend more time with.
Yeah, probably so.
So, to that end, the two vehicles in question are the Toyota, I almost did it, the Toyota 2021 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro.
Yes. Not the TRD Off-Road.
No, the TRD Pro.
Not the Nightshade.
No.
Not the SR5.
No.
The top dog.
Yes. But we're not talking about that one right now because the vehicle we are talking about right now
would rather talk that one.
Is the brand new 2022 Subaru. Should have your attention already, Matt.
It definitely does.
Subaru Outback Wilderness. And it is, hands down, this is their marketing speak, but it's also the truth, the most capable Outback from the factory ever.
Absolutely ridiculous off-road.
So I'm going to run down the 5 bullet points that they have on their press release for this 2022 that are just now hitting dealer lots as we speak. So first, most rugged and most capable Outback in history, covered that. 9.5 inches of ground clearance.
9.5 inches.
In a wagon. For reference sake, we were in a truck-based SUV from Toyota that had 0.1 more inches of ground clearance. So, in the world of crossovers, SUVs, and the infinitely blurry line of what is what, car, truck, SUV, this blurs the line even more because in its most basic form, it is a wagon. It is a car-based wagon. And they've lifted the mess out of this sucker.
Oh, man.
To the fact that it has 0.1 less inches of ground clearance than the TRD Pro that you and I drove out there.
Yeah.
So
that's less than an eighth of an inch.
Yeah. It's
a tenth of an inch. But it's,
yes,
I mean, for the sake of reference, it's less. That's like 5 pounds of air pressure in the tires difference.
Yeah. So, and we didn't air down either of that. No. We'll preface this entire podcast episode with, we did everything completely on full air. We drove them straight off the road, turned into Barnwell Mountain. Thank you to our friends over at Barnwell Mountain.
Absolutely, yeah.
Blast of an adventure park. You need to go out there if you are anywhere near the East Texas area.
It is so worth it. So worth it.
So shout out to them.
And even a Subaru can make it.
Yes. The most capable Subaru Outback ever. But yes. So I drove them out there, bone stock, both of them, on full road air pressure.
Yep.
stock tires, stock everything, and
I did finally find the air pressure button on the TRD.
Yeah.
As 37, 38 pounds of pressure on all 4 tires for the whole time we were out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Incredible.
So let's see. Upgraded suspension, obviously, and all-terrain tires are added to this Subaru Outback Wilderness. Advanced X mode for increased capability, and that's their terrain management system, I guess would be the best way to explain it. And then this last point, we definitely appreciate it has a very unique exterior and interior.
Oh, yeah.
With all those bronze accents that are...
It was so sweet.
Yes. I love, for one, it's not too in your face.
Right.
And being that they're bronze, it's not, red like everyone else does red tow hooks.
Right.
If it's the off-road version, it's got to have red tow hooks.
Right.
Subaru said, not us. Here's some bronze for you.
Right.
And they brought that inside. There are bronze accents on the steering wheel, on the shift knob, on...
Stitching on the steering wheel and the seats. Yeah.
Yeah. It was truly just a gorgeous interior. I'm a little... just a smidge drawn back on some of the design lines of the black plastic cladding that they smothered the exterior of the Outback Wilderness with. But other than that, it's a good looking, very rugged looking off-road vehicle.
I love it. I love the plastic cladding. I love the aggressive look of it. That the black plastic adds to that appearance of it being huge, and it genuinely looks like it's way up in the air compared to most others.
It looks like it's on its tiptoes a little bit, because every Subaru Outback I have ever seen in my entire life has not stood the way that this one stood. It has a stance unlike any other factory. I'll throw that in there. Any other factory Outback I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And it was truly impressive what it was able to tackle at Barnwell.
I have one disappointment with this vehicle, and only one.
Is it 3 letters? CVT?
No. No.
Really?
It wasn't even the CVT. Because 260 horsepower out of that flat 4 through
So, we haven't even talked about the engine.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. My one disappointment is that my wife will never let me own one.
And that is because?
It's a wagon.
I thought it was just hatchbacks.
No. It's wagons and hatchbacks. She loves SUVs, but if it's a wagon or a hatchback.
So about the only thing separating this car from a quote-unquote true SUV is how short
the body is.
The body is.
Right.
Like,
and how far low in it you sit.
What?
Yeah.
The 4Runner, you're practically sitting seat on floor.
I know.
So that's not I'm sorry, Emily. I'm not coming at you on this one, but it kind of feels like I'm coming at you. What? So no. And like this is the most, not to quote a Robin Thicke song, but this is the most blurred line vehicle I think there has been in recent history when it comes to off-roading. And what do you like? It's the ultimate compromise, but in all the positive ways.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I completely agree. It reminds me of the Grand Wagoneer, not the new huge massive thing that they've dubbed the Grand Wagoneer.
Yeah.
But the vintage 70s, 80s, spectacular
wood panel clad.
Right. Tall wagon.
Right.
Which is essentially all that it was.
It was called the Grand Wagoneer.
Exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, that was the feeling, the sense that I got from it, because it is all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This was 4-wheel drive, but all-wheel drive. Mm-hmm. The Grand Wagoneer, rather. It has a hatch. Mm-hmm. It's 4 doors. Mm-hmm. It has a car-like feel to it. And
because it is a car.
Because it is, well, yeah. I mean, the Grand
Wagoneer
has that car-like feel just because of the size of it.
Right.
It's a short, shallow body, that's what it is to me. And it's a modern version of it, and it's boxer, better than it boxer powered. It's turbo boxer powered.
Right.
And really, the demerit that would typically keep it from being on my list of ones that I must own, the CVT, didn't even bother me. I didn't get to drive it on the road, so maybe I would have had a little different opinion on that thing. But on the dirt, holy smokes, that thing flat went.
Yep.
It did. There was a bit of hesitation. It had to decide what it was going to do.
Right.
But once that turbo spooled, the sucker lit, and it was gone. It was a rocket ship.
All right, so let's talk off-road numbers, and then we'll go into engine powertrain.
Okay.
So the numbers we all like to compare when comparing off-road vehicles are approach, departure, lift, breakover angle.
Right.
Are the big three, and then ground clearance, which we've already established 9.5 inches of ground clearance is impressive.
A big green check mark in that box.
Right. So the base Outback has 8.7, so still an impressive amount of ground clearance in the base model. So almost an inch of additional ground clearance. The approach angle is 20 degrees, so no, it is not a Jeep Wrangler competitor, and no one thinks that it is.
Right.
But it is an increase of 1.4 degrees over the 18.6 of the base. So that almost inch that you've gained is found right there at that front approach angle. I can't talk. Departure angle is also increased by 1.9 degrees to 23.6. And the breakover, again, additional height fixes all of these, is 21.2, an increase of 1.8.
Yeah.
So impressive numbers all the way around there.
Absolutely.
And obviously the wheelbase, the length did not change in this vehicle. So like the only way you can really improve those are removing body panels, shaving bumpers and stuff like that, and lifting it. And quite an impressive increase there over the base model, which in its own right was quite impressive.
Oh, man.
So to your point about how it drove, there were some flat-ish areas that we found at Barnwell. I say flat-ish because washboard kind of comes to mind.
Yeah.
So, they were flat-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough. So we'll go right there.
Yeah.
And so I am scrolling, trying to find all the specs on the 2.4 liter turbocharged boxer engine that delivers 260 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 277 pound-feet of torque at 2,000 RPM.
I knew it was going to be up there. It just, for the weight of the vehicle, it's all-wheel drive. Mm-hmm. It sits up. And the benefit, actually, I'll even go this far. The benefit of the CVT in this regard is it'll put the engine in the power band to get you motivated. Right. So it's in that sweet spot of horsepower and torque when you mat it, and it does all the mechanical wizardry on the backside to get you motivated.
It did have an 8-speed mode, but neither one of us tried that one out.
No.
And another impressive feat of the fact that this is essentially a tall car is the 22 city, 26 highway fuel economy.
Yeah.
And 3,500 pounds of towing, which...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Bronco level.
Yeah.
That's Wrangler level.
Yeah. Mostly because those weren't never designed to tow. They were designed to crawl, but yeah, still.
That's incredible.
Yeah. You can go have tons of fun with the family on the weekend in the car that you drove there.
Yep.
After you set up the campsite, because you'll want to get all the gear out of the back, we found out.
Well, yeah.
The fun way.
Yeah.
Go have a hoonin' good time.
Good time.
And
or drag a pair of jet skis to the lake and put them in the water and then go bouncing around through the dirt roads, or drag a small camper to a campsite and drop it off and go hooning through the, I mean, this is, I just built one while we were discussing.
Right.
It's not cheap.
Okay. Well, I remember the sticker on the one we drove, which was very nice, was $40,000.
Yeah.
Which is not expensive when considering its capabilities.
It's not expensive when considering the capabilities, and
cars
especially
are just expensive nowadays. So that's why I phrased it that way.
Yes and no. I mean, you can get the K5 GT line for 30 flat.
Right.
And that's an incredible car.
Absolutely. That's Kia K5.
Yes, Kia K5.
Go check out our review on our website, gtgaragedstock.com.
It's that is a heck of a bargain for what you get out of that rig. This adds $10,000 to that. I built mine out 39.6. Checking a few boxes. I do have a little bit of tech on there.
Well,
the iPhone charger thing.
The Qi charger. Okay.
Yeah. And the Tool or Thul or Thul or however you say it.
Thule.
Thule? Is that what it is?
I believe it's Thule. All our outdoor enthusiasts will get onto me, but I'm.
Is that a French thing, Cory?
I don't even know. I'm 85% sure it's Thule.
Thule. Okay. The big box that goes on the roof of the car to add cargo space, so because
you don't care about fuel economy.
I'm not. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Load that thing up. Load that thing up, and you're still getting 20 plus. That's better than what my Pilot will do.
Yeah. Yep.
I got to baby that thing to get 24 out of it.
Yep.
And that's with 4 people in it and no stuff.
Yeah.
I load the back of it up and put a roof rack on it. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to get 18, 19. I mean, this is.
So we were out there with our buddies from One Off Productions, and we did some filming with them. They helped us shoot our reviews of both of the vehicles we're talking about today. And the 4 of us were all, I was probably the least of the 3 of us, but we were all swooning over that car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we're weighing the options of what it would look like to have in our garage.
Both of the one-off guys were like, maybe they'll do a deal if we buy 2 of them. I mean, like, they were in on it. They wanted one bad.
They were. Because, to your point, it just went. Granted, we did not drive it on road anywhere. So, Bill, yes, I know you're interested. I know you're listening. Thank you so much. No, unfortunately, we did not get on-road time on it, but that's not what this one was designed for.
Right.
And to us, in what we got to experience it in, we can totally see how its on-road manners would be completely civilized. Absolutely. Because we did drive the TRDPro 4Runner on and off-road, and we knew what both were capable of off-road.
And we're not comparing.
Right. But
we can't compare.
But I can definitely see how this would be a very competent, capable highway cruiser that can definitely hold its own when the pavement ends. I'll phrase it that way.
Definitely. Ford is building Bronco into a lifestyle brand. Jeep is building, everything as a lifestyle brand.
Right.
I think they're moving. I think Ford is moving that direction, even with the Mustang.
Right. Absolutely, they are.
This thing is, and I know Subaru is a lifestyle brand anyway. It's
probably the original.
It's probably the original, absolutely. But this thing takes it to a whole nother level.
So it has been an increasing thing in especially the off-road world when building factory rigs to have sub-brands. Jeep has the Trailhawk. We have one sitting in my garage.
Right.
Toyota has TRDPro.
Right.
They do have subsequent TRD off-road and TRD sports. But we won't talk about those. So, yes, they are building sub-brands that, I know GMC has AT4.
Right.
now, which go back and listen to last week's episode. You'll get not only our opinion, but a GMC dealer's opinion on some of the AT4s. I think GMC missed the mark there big time, because they are absolutely in a place to rival and dominate Jeep, because they have full-size trucks and heavy-duty trucks. And, everything they make is either a crossover SUV or a truck.
Right.
So they are GM's Jeep. And they missed the ball there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've got AT4, we've got Trailhawk, we've got TRDPro, and now we've got this new edition of the Wilderness edition. So I am here all day for off-road sub-brands.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If they're done right. Looking at you, GMC.
Was this one done right, in your opinion?
Yes. Checks all the boxes.
All of them.
Yes.
Awesome.
There are some things I would wish were a little bit different. I've already alluded to some of the lines on the styling of the black plastic. I've never owned a Subaru, but I know they are a passionate fan base.
Oh, yeah.
So I can only imagine. And then the blue press vehicle color that is in all the commercials is the one I would check. But the white one that we had was also quite stunning.
I would say I'm not one for white vehicles, although the past 3 vehicles that I've owned have been white.
Your selections say otherwise.
Right.
I could say the same thing about me in black cars.
I loved that white. The black cladding.
Well, it wasn't white
wheels.
For long, given where we were.
Sure. Yeah, it didn't stay that way, but it was so nice. The contrast in the colors and everything. It was just, And I'm clicking through the color options here.
What is that?
Autumn green metallic.
That is an interesting one.
Spectacular.
More colors, please.
Yes.
From all manufacturers for all vehicles.
Yep.
There are certain trims of certain vehicles that you can only get in grayscale, and it drives me insane.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all the colors look really good on this thing. The black hides all the plastic, which is, pros and cons.
Yeah.
The silver is a little bland. I'll give them that.
Silver is always a little bland.
Yeah. The gray, the magnetite gray metallic.
Easy for you to say, huh?
Yeah.
So what was the starting price on that before you clicked anything?
Oh, goodness. I think they start at 36.
So
let me double check.
Yeah.
Stand by. Okay, the Outback starts at 26, but the Outback Wilderness,
which 26 for a 5-person, 4 and 3/4 person haul all your gear wagon,
right,
is a good deal.
Oh yeah,
spectacular deal.
Yeah, especially with the reliability and dependability of Subaru. I mean, it's spectacular. The Wilderness starts at $36,995.
It's not bad.
So
we essentially had $3,000 of options on ours. I did not look at what they all were. Again, we had it for a short period of time. So we're 20-ish minutes into this episode. Quick final thoughts.
Buy one.
Bill, you heard it here. Buy one.
We worth it. Yes. They're spectacular. I mean, genuinely, for road trips, for having fun in the dirt, for everyday driving. Again, I don't even mind the CVT. Absolutely, this is one to check out.
Yeah. The only people we would probably steer away from it are ones who are wanting a serious off-roader for their daily driver. Like, if you want to do Moab, this could probably do trails out there. Well, this definitely could. We have not been out there, but this definitely could.
Oh, yeah.
9.5 inches of ground clearance.
It's ridiculous.
Again, I read the departure, breakover, and approach angles. They're not great. They're not stellar.
It's still a car.
Yeah. And yes, it's still car-based. So there are limitations.
You're not going to fit 37s underneath it.
Right. For 90% of the people that quote-unquote off-road, I was having a conversation with someone this week. I off-roaded a minivan before. The story was driving through a cow pasture. So,
Right.
yes, that is
You
off-road.
drove off-road.
Yes, yes. So, yes, for a majority of the people, I feel that most people like this surge in these sub brands, and why GMC probably feels like they haven't missed the mark, is it's more poser than anything else. This is not a poser. This was capable. This could handle.
Oh yeah.
This lived up to
surprisingly well. It could handle.
And my favorite part about this whole experience was, I knew exactly what the Wilderness Edition was going out there.
Yeah.
You did not.
I was in the dark.
Yes.
You kept telling me, yeah, it's a Outback Wilderness Edition. Okay, it's a Subaru. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're taking a Subaru in the dirt. That makes sense. That's fine. Rally history. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then we pulled up at the gas station, and I had to pick my jaw up off the floor. I mean, like, blew me away.
Yep. So, buy it.
Buy it.
Yes. Next vehicle on our list,
right?
The one we brung.
Yeah.
Was lent to us by Toyota. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was the 4Runner TRDPro, which is their top dog off-roader in the 4Runner world. It is essentially based on the Tacoma architecture.
Right.
Except
a little shorter.
Yeah. It's got 4 doors and an enclosed rear cargo space. And there you go. All the learnings from the Tacoma are baked in here.
Oh, yeah.
And I can see why there is so much love for these.
Oh, my goodness.
I did not understand how much there was out in the world until I started posting pictures on social and started getting feedback from people I knew. And even in our East Texas Spotters group, so go back 2 episodes where we're talking to Mikey about...
Excuse me.
Even go back 2 episodes to our episode with Mikey of ETX Spotters, East Texas Spotters, where he basically requested that I do a self-spot in the group and share a picture of what we were driving, which was funny that, here is our first press vehicle and I'm already being asked to do that. Right. Because in my head, I was always like, I'm not going to do that. But when the creator and the admin of the group requests, you oblige.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I put a humorous one of it hiding behind the trees in my driveway. But yeah, it was fun.
You were turd spotting.
I have never, ever, ever understood who in Toyota marketing signed off on TRD as the initials. I know what they stand for, but they come across poorly when you try and read them
really
out
do.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. So your sister got a kick out of it, I know, and many other people have over time. But yeah, TRD, Toyota Racing Development, for any of those, just curious, like, why did they put turd on the side and underside of this vehicle? That is why.
Yep.
And it means something to those in the know.
It definitely does.
It goes as far as not only their off-road shops, but their cars. Toyota's involved in NASCAR, so they take their learnings from the NASCAR circuit and apply it to Camry and, believe it or not, Avalon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as off-road goes, there's a TRD off-road RAV4. I've gotten to driven one. I don't talk for a living.
Yeah.
I've gotten to drive one off-road with representatives from Toyota, and I wanted to take that one home with me because it so perfectly compares or competes with my wife's daily, and I know I bring it up a lot here at GT Garage Talk. She drives a 2014 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk, and those align perfectly. They're both compact crossovers with off-road intentions. This rig competes with, you and I have mentioned, a dying breed.
Yeah.
So the old Nissan Pathfinder, when it was a truck-based rig, the long since deceased Nissan Xterra, the let's see, what else do we got?
Well, we whittled it down to the only other rig that competes with it remotely is the Bronco and the Wrangler, and they really don't directly compete.
I would add to that because, putting on a consumer mindset and not completely grasping the truck-based and car-based platforms, I would say the Jeep Grand Cherokee competes with this because price range, it's there, capability, it's there, especially with, again, the sub-brand of the Trailhawk.
Right.
This would compete with the Trailhawk Grand Cherokee.
Except there's no solid rear axle.
All intentions aside, all intentions are the same when you're buying these rigs. So, again, from a consumer standpoint, you want a rugged-looking, capable off-roader that can seat 5 and carry a lot of stuff. A suitable cross shop would definitely lend you to visit a Jeep dealership.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
That being said, I am all for the truck-based. I am all for the solid rear axle in an off-road application. I am not a Toyota diehard by any stretch of the imagination. This one won me over.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. My boss showed up at the shop today. He's no longer my boss. He found another job, so he doesn't work for where I work for anymore.
Congrats.
Yeah, he's upgrading to the point where he just bought a 2020 Toyota Tundra TSS 4x4 in quicksand, which is a beautiful color on that truck. It's got the black accents like the TRDPro. 4-wheel drive, crew cab, big monstrous
Toyota
truck.
really needs to work on their acronyms. Anyway, continue.
I agree.
Sorry.
But I brought this the
Forerunner?
Thank you. I brought up the Forerunner because his previous vehicle was a 96 Forerunner, 4-wheel drive, that he had lifted and put bigger tires on, and it was a great truck. Still is a great truck. The similarities between the two are unmistakable.
Between the 96 and the
96 and the 21. And the similarities between the 2020 Tundra and the 2021 4Runner are unmistakable. I keep rubbing the table.
Well, Toyota notoriously finds what works and keeps perfecting.
And they leave it alone.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, like, this rig for me was, if I were to go out and buy a vehicle tomorrow, I couldn't because there aren't any. But if I were to
go back and check last week's episode.
If I were to go out and buy a rig tomorrow, this one would be in my top 3 easily.
Yeah.
Of rigs that I would be wrestling between.
Is that recency bias or because it truly checks all the boxes?
I fell in love with this truck.
Okay. So a little of both.
It is a little of both. We took it to the lake Saturday and pulled a jet ski. Other than it kicking out of 5th gear a little more often than I like it to,
right?
It was like it wasn't even there,
right?
Because it's a truck,
right?
It is a truck-based SUV. I love that solid rear axle. I love the way it rides. You critiqued the ride a little bit, being a little wobbly and wishy-washy a bit.
It's floaty on road.
It's floaty, but it's a truck,
right?
And it's supposed to do that, and it's supposed to feel that way.
And it made possible what we did out at Barnwell possible.
Oh, absolutely. And it's very reminiscent of the 96 that my boss has. It just, there's nostalgia about it. There is comfort and size and performance about it. 270 horsepower, 278 foot-pounds of torque.
Yep.
It leaves a little to be desired. But
she's a heavy girl.
Nearly every time, if not every time I get in my car, my right foot is on the floor during that trip. whether it's the 2 miles from my house to work or 15 miles across Tyler, at some point in that trip, my right foot is on the floor in that Subaru.
Right.
Twice. 2 times, I put my right foot on the floor driving this truck. I never felt like I needed to.
Right.
I never felt like it wanted more. I never felt like I was itching to drag race somebody or wanting to run somebody down or anything like that.
A lot of that
it was a cruiser. It was comfortable.
A lot of that goes with the character of a vehicle. I've noted before how driving my brother's Honda S2000 in the bright yellow, whatever marketing name they gave that yellow paint color, completely changed how I drove the exact same roads I always drove. It made me drive, I'll be honest, like a jerk because that 6-speed was like effortless. It was so quick to shift from gear to gear, like perfect. And it was bright yellow, and it was a sports car, and it weighed nothing. Hopping behind the wheel of this, having driven a sedan for the last, 8 years of my life as my daily, I was bounding over things. I was plowing out of my 15-degree incline driveway like it was nothing because in my car I had to baby it because I drag 99% of the time my front chin splitter coming or going.
Yeah.
And that was not a problem in this.
Nope.
Not even an opportunity for that to happen in this. And bounding over speed bumps and just enjoying the fact that, yes, I'm in a big, burly, truck-based SUV that was built to handle whatever.
Right.
And whatever it did. And
burly is a great word for it. Masculine was the word I shared with you on our way in the door. This is unapologetic about what it is.
Right.
And not to a fault. I mentioned several times in the video, it does a whole lot of things well. The one thing that it does great, and this would be my change of mindset from when we were videoing. The one thing that it does great, it is a truck great.
Yeah.
It's missing the pickup bed,
right?
But it that persona, that attitude, that feel, the way that it floats down the road, the way that it reacts, it's.
So I did ask your wife her opinion of it the first time I saw her after y'all took it.
Yeah.
And her first reaction was, it rides rough, which kind of caught me off guard because you and I literally had a discussion about it rides better than most trucks because the technology has gotten so good.
Yes.
That they've tuned them. You can still, yes, we've gone on and on about it so far. It's still a truck. It still rides like a truck, but a very refined truck. And there are trims that if you're looking for on-road feel,
sure,
TRDPro is not the best option for you. But I loved the persona that it had on-road. It exuded masculinity, to your point, because, it sits up higher. It's got the black wheels and the tires that we went into detail about on. It's got the black roof rack. It's got the exclusive lunar rock paint that makes it stand out. Just this morning, I was parked next to 2 white ones at the zoo. One was a limited, so the luxury trim, and one was the SR5, the entry trim, basically. Both in white, naturally, because everything's grayscale. And this one stood out to me, but probably blends in a little too much to the average consumer, which was one of my complaints, is that 4Runners are a little bit everywhere.
Right.
And most of them are not TRD Pros.
There's only 4 color options for this truck.
Right.
Lunar rock, white, magnetic gray. Oh, it's super white, excuse me. And midnight black metallic.
Yep. And this is the one I would take hands down day in, day
the Lunar rock?
Yes.
I really enjoyed the color. I really liked the look of it.
Looked really good with Reddy's Texas Dirt all over it.
It did look very good with Reddy's Texas Dirt on it.
So, for us not to drone on and on, because you and I can both gush on this vehicle for hours on end, and I don't know that our listeners would just sit here for all of that.
Probably not.
Let's hit some of the off-road high points.
Okay.
And then you alluded to already, you hauled the skis with it, the jet ski.
Yeah.
I lived with it on the brick streets and had a little more of that daily commute with it, and we'll go into those aspects. So, off-road, it's what everybody wants to know about it.
Yeah.
How capable was it?
Knocked my socks off capable to the point where...
we probably were almost to the point of trying things we ought not to, given that we did not bring a vehicle with a winch to pull us out in the event of...
Right, right. Yeah, we did back off a little bit.
I appreciate that so much. So does my wife.
Narrow, fairly steep, fairly slick little section of rock section that we didn't go down.
It was slick red clay is what it was. Yeah. I was slipping and sliding down there. And
we it'll be in the video.
Right.
So I'll give this a little bit of teaser. I was within 3 feet with the nose of this truck of our spectacular camera guy who stuck in there for the sliding 30-mile-an-hour shot around one of these corners.
Cojones of steel.
Oh, my goodness.
He did not even flinch.
And it's an incredible shot.
So we keep alluding to, yes, there will be a YouTube review of this coming. It's going to take a little bit longer because this was our first partnership with our friends over at One Off Productions, and it is going to be a stellar production indeed. Goodness. And we want to do it justice, and we want to do it right.
Absolutely.
So if you have not already, go to youtube.com/GT Garage Talk and hit subscribe, because you won't want to miss that video when it drops. It will be a fun one. We had some fun. We got some amazing shots.
Yes.
We got to see sneak peeks of the footage that we shot while we were out there. We're still waiting on all the raw footage ourselves.
It's incredible.
But we had so much fun out at Barnwell with our friends at One Off Productions. And yes, so much fun out there. And
so between the rocks and the little bit of mud that we messed with and the dirt roads and the moguls, what was the thing that stuck out to you the most about the off-road prowess of this vehicle?
Look, I regret how flat the camera makes some of the terrain we went over look. There is hardly a way for us to adequately capture on camera for you, the viewing audience, just what this 4Runner was able to climb over like nothing.
Like nothing.
On full road air pressure. Yeah. We did not air down. And you were kind of knocking the tires. You went on the record as knocking the tires on our trip out there.
Yeah.
You wanted to go on the record.
I did.
I had a feeling that you were going to be backing off of that because, remind me again, it's got the...
Nitto Terra Grappler tires. Nitto makes some great stuff. This is the cheapest tire in their lineup as far as all-terrain tires are concerned. And I was concerned about its capability and performance. And to be honest, it surprised me.
Yeah.
Never, the entire time we were out there, never was the tire the limiting factor in what we were doing.
It was more us than anything, to the point of having to turn around. It was the situation.
Yeah.
I'll paint the picture for you. I was playing spotter duty down greater than a 15-degree slope.
You said duty. TRDPro.
On slick red clay.
We're dads, so dad jokes are okay.
In a crevasse with no exit. There was no way for me to bail.
There wasn't anywhere for you to go.
If you started sliding on this slick red clay.
Right.
And I wanted to go home that night. So, yes, we chose to go another way. I do believe it could have handled it. I did not want to attempt it given the circumstances we were out there in.
Sure. Yeah.
So But yes, this thing blew me away over what it was able to crawl over, especially once we started playing with the terrain modes.
Yeah.
And dropping it down into 4 low, which it was quite capable in 2 high.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It did. It probably would have done a good bit more of what we did in 2-wheel drive. But we're out there messing around, so why not put it in 4?
Yeah. And we're out there to test what it can do and all the features and capabilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Looking at some of the things we climbed over were the truly impressive things to me. That being said, we're going to start pivoting into the on-road conversation. I would be remiss, seeing as we're talking about these 2 vehicles, without pointing out there was $12,000 worth of difference between these 2 vehicles, because this one was $52,000 as stickered. And for me, living with it in the daily commute world, there were some things missing at the $52,000 price point.
Okay.
Because what you are paying for at $52,000, and I'm going to keep saying it, is you're paying for those off-road shops.
Oh, yeah.
And we absolutely got what we paid for, so to speak, with off-road shops. We were not lacking there.
Yes.
But the day-to-day livability, it did not have a power rear hatch, which some people can live and die by, and some people can say no thank you to. We live with a power hatch day in and day out, and I will note that this one, you really had to get a good slam on it to not put fingerprints on the tailgate itself from the built-in, because it had built-in handholds that you could grab and pull it closed.
Right.
But, the gas struts that were holding it up, you really had to get a good momentum to slam it shut.
I kind of found a pretty good rhythm with it, and actually, went to the lake with it, so we were loading stuff in and out of the back of it pretty regular. And when we got back Sunday and we're swapping stuff over from one rig to another, I actually slammed the pilot rear hatch shut accidentally twice because I was used to the Forerunner. So it can be gotten used to. It wasn't so severe that it was ridiculous.
And I believe that. It's just, for me, $52,000 on an SUV, that seems like something that should just be an automatic bake-in. I was at that price point.
Right. I was completely okay with it. And there were some other tech items that you probably would have wanted included in that price range. But I was completely okay with the tech that it had and no more. It was enough.
So it had Toyota's standard suite of technology. It had lane departure warning, but no active steering to put you back in the lane. So it would just beep at you if you left.
Which you could not. That one you could turn off.
It had adaptive cruise, but it did not have full stop adaptive cruise, which I found out from testing, like I said, in traffic and day-to-day life. It bailed on you at about 25 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It would beep, and then it was just done. So you were coasting at that point. So if you were behind someone that was coming to a stop, a complete stop, at 25 miles per hour, just know that adaptive cruise is going to bail.
Yeah.
So
it still expects you to do your job.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't have blind spot monitoring, which you and I both noted the visibility on this, because it's a giant box on wheels with slab side giant windows all the way around. Visibility was very good all the way around.
Spectacular, yeah.
But again, it's a bigger rig than I normally pilot. It would have been nice to have blind spot monitoring at $52,000.
Yeah.
And that's probably about it. As far as things I missed at that price point. Power hatch and blind spot.
I could have done without the adaptive cruise, or at least a way to turn it off completely. Because when you turn the cruise control on, adaptive cruise is on.
Right.
And I didn't care for that. But yeah, as far as the tech is concerned, that was really my only complaint, that I couldn't turn off the adaptive cruise.
Right.
Everything else I was totally on board with. And like we mentioned earlier, when Toyota does something, they do it well, and then they leave it alone for a long time.
Or only improve upon it.
And this was proven technology, proven equipment, and They've left it alone, and I loved it. I loved every bit of it. It was high tech where it needed to be, right? The crawl control, the different terrain modes, locking rear differential, but it was mechanical and simple where it needed to be.
Right.
Like the non-power rear hatch. That's just something else to go wrong in my mind. It had a legit shifter knob to go from 2 high to 4 high to 4 low.
Not a little dial that you turn or anything like that.
It was so foreign, or it is such a foreign object these days, that we were riding to the lake on Saturday, and Emily said, "Why is that moving?" Like, it didn't even register with her that that's what that was, because it's such an uncommon thing anymore.
Right.
That's a big part of the reason why I liked this so much, was that it had those niceties. It had heated seats. Cool. Great. Fantastic.
We don't need those.
We don't necessarily need those here in Texas. It had, lane departure warning and adaptive cruise. I could probably get used to the adaptive cruise. It'd be fine. But that was it. It didn't have a whole bunch of whiz bangs and gadgets and gizmos, and that was perfect.
I will say it was refreshing to have a minimal technology vehicle. It was simple in what it did. To your point, it had even a manual shade on the sunroof, and I've noted in several vehicles you and I have driven lately that I'm starting to come back around on how much I kind of miss just a simple sunroof, not a large panoramic with a shade that takes 2 hours to open and close.
Right.
Or that must be open before you can even pop the vent.
Right.
Like, it's a 30-minute process just to pop the vent on the moonroof. So, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Had some cool features like the slide-out tray in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Which my kiddo loved. He kept saying he wanted to play in the trunk. So he is, bless his heart, vertically challenged and of the perfect size. He could stand up perfectly in the very back. And he loved playing back there. He found features before I did, in that the hatch has 2 built-in lights that can be toggled on, or to be on with the door, or off completely, which come in handy at night when the hatch is open. You and I both went out and looked at fireworks, and I'm sure we're in the back at night, so that was a very handy feature. I love the puddle lamps under every single door. You open a door, and there was a light at the bottom of the door illuminating any potential hazards down there. There was just a lot right with this, because again, Toyota finds what works and perfects it.
One major, and this one just clicked in my head. We were talking about the puddle lights and stuff. It made me think of it. One major miss on the one that we had, and I've noticed after build and price that there are options to fix it. It had plastic rock rails.
Right.
The panel that's underneath the doors, that runs between the doors, were plastic. It takes one really insignificant hit of a rock when you're out on the trails to ruin a door or to ruin a door sill. And that's a simple solution there. Just
it should be a given.
Make it steel and leave it alone. It was even black. So black powder coat that piece there, bolt it in there, and go on about it.
So it is an option, just not
there are steps and there are rock rails as options on this truck.
And I even noted that, most people, I know for my family, we would be putting some serious side steps on it if this were our daily vehicle, because Holly noted just today that she has a bruise on the back of her leg from getting in and out of it. It is tall. She's 5 foot. It was a tall vehicle.
Yeah.
So it just occurred to me, we'll exit this conversation because we have not talked any actual legit technical specs on the TRDPro. We've just talked conjecture and opinions.
Okay. So our opinions are right.
Right. Absolutely. That's why you listen to us. Yeah. So things that came on this one, you and I both were all about the 17-inch. Not 20.
Right.
Not 18.
Yep.
But the 17-inch wheels that came on the TRDPro.
Yep.
So it has been an increasing problem because visually people like big wheels on their rigs, but it does not make sense when you're building an off-road purpose rig. I don't get why the Chevy Trail Boss Silverado comes with a 20-inch wheel option. I don't get why the AT4 Sierra comes with a 20-inch wheel option. So yes, came with 17-inch TRD Pro Flowform alloy wheels, the previously mentioned Nitto Terra Grappler tires, Fox tuned shocks with, I was reading here, it's retuned 2.5-inch Fox internal bypass shocks. So very capable, front and back. So yes.
And capable all over the place.
Right.
I mean, through the whoops, through the rocks, through the trails, through on the road, brick streets. Yeah.
TRD stamped aluminum front skid plate.
It works.
Yes. That's really all the actual functional TRD gets you, and the roof rack, the roof basket, as I called it. But yes, so we got that thing out there. It was flexing. We had a wheel up in the air. We were able to rock that thing back and forth. We got some pretty cool pictures and video out there of it in that mode, and just truly impressive all the way around. Seeing that big thing sitting on three wheels.
Yeah,
so
it was pretty wild.
Yeah. A 4-liter V6 engine. We already touched on 270 horsepower. It is not a drag racer. She's a portly vehicle.
Yeah.
It's truck-based. Comes with the territory, so yeah.
One of the things that initially you and I both just flat out didn't care for at all was the TRD Performance exhaust.
Yeah. I still stand by that.
You still stand by that?
Yeah.
I got used to it. And I'm one that appreciates being able to hear my vehicle when it's running. Mm-hmm. So, driving it around, things like that, it really didn't bother me. I could see on a moderate road trip to a long road trip where that droning would get annoying. Mm-hmm. But again, this rig is not necessarily designed to do...
For $52,000, it better be livable daily.
Daily, absolutely. Me. But you're not going to go buy this to road trip America.
Right.
There's much better options for that.
So my story on that, day one of having it, I took my 3-year-old to my parents for the day, and he noticed it and commented that it was loud back there on the... It's not even 10 miles out there, but it's a 30-minute trip. So you do the math.
Tyler, Texas.
Yeah. So, he noted it. My wife noted it. We took it to Mineola, where we got it up to 70 miles an hour for an extended period of time. You and I took it to Gilmer.
Yep.
It's a drone. To that end, if you're listening to music, you don't hear it. So
sure.
There's that. So, final thoughts. We left the Outback Wilderness with buy it.
Yep.
Because you could buy that, road trip it across America.
Yeah.
No problems, no questions asked.
Absolutely.
It would handle that capably, and then you could go off-road. Final thoughts, TRDPro.
Buy it.
Same.
Interesting. Genuinely. Now, with the caveat that this is...
There are trade-offs that you're making.
There are absolutely trade-offs you're making with this. It doesn't have the most cargo space in its class.
No.
It's not the most comfortable on-road ride in its class.
It's also not the most uncomfortable.
Also not the most uncomfortable. But it has to be in the top 3 most capable off-road truck in its class. I mean, it's
the last of a dying breed for a reason.
It's the last of a dying breed for a reason. I approached it this way. I told you at the beginning of the video that it's not practical.
That's why I'm like, okay, your final thought is buy it. And you introduced me to your thoughts by saying it's not practical.
It's not practical as a primary vehicle.
Okay.
So if your family is one that does a lot of traveling, you're on the road a lot, you have more than 4 people in your family, you're going to want to look elsewhere.
But if you're a 2-car household.
But if you're a 2-car household and this is your daily back and forth to work and the fun drag the jet ski to the lake on the weekend, or the fun go camping for the weekend and wheeling at Barnwell, it's perfect for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not... I wouldn't consider it as the primary vehicle for a family.
What would 20-year-old Matt say? Perfect daily vehicle.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah, 20-year-old Matt would absolutely be all over it.
Yeah.
60-year-old Matt would be absolutely all over it. Family Matt, it's a little limiting. We had 3 of us going. My oldest wasn't with us this weekend, so we had 3 of us going to the lake, and we were full. There was stuff in the seat next to my 3-year-old. We were full.
Yeah.
So...
You haven't lived with a Jeep Cherokee for any length of time. I was like, oh my gosh, look at the abundance of space in this thing. We could bring so much more. So, well, there you have it. If you want an off-road rig, you've got 2 capable options in both of these vehicles, and they come at it from 2 totally different standpoints.
Absolutely.
And price points and style, and yeah, both very capable. We were impressed by both. We've said it before, we'll say it again. We've got videos coming on both of these on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GTGarageTalk. Go and subscribe to that now so you don't miss these videos when we do get them cut together and posted, because you will want to see some of the stuff that these things were capable of, because we cannot convey them here on the podcast.
It was nuts, Cory. It was nuts.
It was nuts. Word of the day. If you want to know more about what we're doing, head on over to gtgaragetalk.com. Follow us on Instagram to see what we're driving next. We've got a new vehicle showing up tomorrow.
We sure do.
Looking forward to it. Until next time, bye.